why nobody is talking about this? Like, this was guy more than 10 years ago. So you have to understand there was no, what we have in the internet today, the availability of information, this was not the case 10 years ago. Even the word of integration or psychedelic integration, I don't think that was like very commonly used, even in the space. So I was just like, I have to talk about this. This is so important. And this is how it started, pivoting my practice into psychedelic assisted therapy, because I started a podcast. I started write about my experience and talk about my experience with the integration. And that, resulted people coming to me in my therapy practice saying, I want to do that process, that you are talking about, that you went through. And this is how the program came to be, and the training eventually.
Yeah, probably the most important part of this path because, me and you have very similar stories, Nina, and I think we met probably about 3 years ago with this same understanding of, you know, I drank the medicine quite often, like you did in the beginning, and I kept saying, I have all these answers. I think I know, and you don't know until you start really digging deep. And integration was the key. And yeah, I did most of my medicine in the States, and you were fortunate enough to do it with tribes, but it was still the same thing. When I was at this place of healing that I would go to every weekend, and I would see these people leaving, like hundreds every weekend, getting these breakthroughs and not knowing what to do with them, because we all know after doing this for so long that the medicine is such a small portion. That medicine just breaks it wide open, and it's for you to do the work. And I think I feel integration now is kind of an overused word because we don't even understand it. We just throw that word out there, the work, integration, but what is that? What is it? What explain it in just what you think it is.
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think that's one of the major problems now, that people don't understand what we are talking about. What is integration? For me, integration, is a couple of things. Obviously, making sense out of your experience and applying that into your everyday life. Everybody knows that, but it's kind of a definition that nobody relates to really. What
Mhm.
happens in real life is a couple of things that happens in the integration. And I'm going to talk to you guys about the levels of integration, because we have a physical body, we have emotions, we have mental mind, intellect, we have our spiritual aspect. And integration does happen, on every level. And what I really mean on integration is bringing the parts of you together. Okay, so all of us are fragmented to a certain extent because of trauma, because of things that happen with us, to us. So that causes fragmentation and separation that results in illness and disease, like anxiety, depression, so on and so forth, because we are in this state of fragmentation. Integration is bringing these pieces together into that natural state of wholeness that we are. And how do we do this? Is in a couple of ways. One way is there is emotional integration. What does that mean? That means emotional release and emotional expression. So most people suppress certain emotions. We all are taught that some emotions are bad, some emotions are good, some things you shouldn't feel or express, and that causes, severe problems in our life. So one thing that's happening in the integration, especially with this plant, is that you start releasing emotions that you suppressed in the past. I'm sure people who drank ayahuasca, they know what I'm talking about. You are
Yep.
emotional. You sometimes don't even know why you are so emotional. It's just coming out. It's a kind of purge. It's a kind of emptying. So that's part of the integration. And then while you are doing that, you also learning healthy emotional expression of how you should express yourself emotionally, that we never learned,
Right.
unfortunately, how not to suppress those emotions again now that you emptied.
I don't think we don't learn it. I think we don't know it because, like, I'll just speak for myself. Going to these medicines for the first time, that was the first time I felt feelings. So what are these? Maybe I did understand those feelings when I was 4, 5, 6, but they were suppressed. So now you're coming back and you're like, what are these feelings? And you really put integration. I mean, I wish we can go back and put that in. Like, that's what integration is, what you just said.
And on another level, mental level, we work with limiting beliefs, that we all have unconscious limiting beliefs, and that create, our behavior. So, for example, if you believe that all rich people are selfish and bad people and you want to create money, you can never create money, because your deep belief is that is not the result of that, is something not desirable. So everybody has a lot of unconscious belief, which is they are not aware of. That's why it's unconscious. When we work with sacred plants, especially with the ayahuasca helps us to expand our awareness and become aware of these beliefs that we are holding deep in the unconscious, that result in behavior that we do not want. We do not want to perpetuate. We want to change. So that's another big part of the integration on the level of the mind, on the level of the intellect, integrating the unconscious and the conscious, bringing the light of awareness into the unconscious part. So we get all this information that we were not aware before, and then, act accordingly and change what you do not like. So that's also a big part of the integration process on the mental level. And then on the physical level, it's integrating into your body, basically, because a lot of people don't inhabit their physical body. They have a very bad relationship with their body. A lot of women I know hate their bodies, and I'm sure it's like a lot of people. So to repair your relationship with your physical body, to think of your body as an ally, to create a loving relationship, to sink into your body, to nurture your body, in a healthy way, that's also really big part of the integration process. And then lastly, on the spiritual level, and I think this is one of the biggest part, is to bringing that divine quality into your everyday life. Because what is spirituality? We are all spiritual. Everything is spiritual, so, but that understanding, what does that mean? What does that mean to you? That things are sacred, that the earth is sacred, that people, everything is sacred. As an understanding on the intellectual level, how do you bring that into your everyday life, into your behavior? How do you live your life as a ceremony? So these are all parts of the integration process on every level. And as we do this deep work, we are bringing those pieces and we are coming towards that wholeness. And that's what will make the difference in your life, in terms of behavior and what's happening in your life after.